The moment you wake up in the morning, before any food touches your stomach, your body is sitting inside the most powerful metabolic window of the entire day. Insulin is at its lowest. Glucagon is elevated. Your sympathetic nervous system is just coming online. If there is ever a perfect moment to send a targeted biochemical signal directly into your fat cells, this is it. And the signal, it turns out, is already waiting inside a simple cup of green tea. Today we are going to walk through the precise molecular reasons why drinking green tea on an empty stomach forces fat cells to starve and die, not through some marketing claim, but through mechanisms that have been documented in peer-reviewed science. At the cellular level, the story begins with EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, the dominant catechin in green tea, representing roughly 50 to 60% of total catechin content in a brewed cup. EGCG has been studied in thousands of papers across the fields of obesity, cancer, neurodegeneration, and metabolic disease. But none of that research means anything if EGCG never gets absorbed into your bloodstream efficiently. And this is exactly where the fasting state changes everything. A study published in a leading clinical pharmacology journal found that consuming EGCG after an overnight fast raised free plasma EGCG concentrations by up to 3.5-fold, compared to taking it alongside food. In practical terms, your morning fasted cup of green tea delivers the equivalent bioactive potency of nearly 3.5 cups consumed with a meal. That single fact reframes the entire conversation. A cup of green tea is not just a beverage on an empty stomach. It is a high-dose pharmacokinetic event, the first mechanism through which that absorbed EGCG attacks fat cells is COMT inhibition. COMT stands for catechol O-methyltransferase, an enzyme whose job is to break down norepinephrine, the sympathetic nervous system hormone that binds to beta-adrenergic receptors on fat cells and triggers lipolysis, the release of stored triglycerides into the bloodstream as free fatty acids. Under normal conditions, COMT degrades norepinephrine quickly, switching the lipolysis signal off within minutes. EGCG directly blocks COMT. When COMT is inhibited, norepinephrine lingers far longer in the synaptic cleft, continuously stimulating fat cell receptors and keeping hormone-sensitive lipase activated. Triglycerides break apart into glycerol and free fatty acids, which then travel to muscle mitochondria to be burned as fuel. The fasting state amplifies this effect dramatically, because low insulin in the fasted state removes the primary suppressor of lipolysis, allowing the norepinephrine-driven signal to run with almost no opposition. EGCG plus fasting creates a condition where the fat-releasing accelerator is pushed down, and the fat-storing brake is simultaneously released. The second mechanism is AMPK activation. AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase, functions as the master energy sensor inside every cell. When cellular energy drops, AMPK switches on fat oxidation pathways and switches off fat synthesis pathways simultaneously. EGCG directly activates AMPK in adipocytes and in skeletal muscle cells. When AMPK is active, the transport of fatty acids into mitochondria accelerates, while the activity of fatty acid synthase and acetyl-CoA carboxylase, the enzymes that build new fat molecules, is suppressed. More importantly, EGCG-driven AMPK activation increases expression of PGC1-alpha, the master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. This means more mitochondria are manufactured inside cells, each one capable of burning more fat per unit of time. EGCG does not merely accelerate the existing fat-burning machinery, it expands the factory floor itself, producing a durable upward shift in baseline metabolic capacity. The third mechanism is one of the most structurally significant. It is the browning of white adipose tissue. Your body contains two major categories of fat cells. White adipocytes store energy and are the primary component of visceral abdominal fat. Brown adipocytes burn energy as heat, powered by abundant mitochondria, and a protein called UCP1, or uncoupling protein 1. The trouble is that with aging and obesity, brown fat diminishes and white fat expands. EGCG has been shown to reverse this trend. A 2024 study found that EGCG promotes the conversion of white fat cells into beige fat cells, a functionally intermediate type that expresses UCP1 and generates heat by inhibiting Notch1 signaling during adipocyte differentiation. This process was accompanied by upregulation of PGC1 alpha and PRDM16, the core transcription factors of brown fat identity. In diet-induced obese animal models, EGCG supplementation stimulated brown adipose tissue, mitochondrial biogenesis and increased thermogenic activity. When white fat cells are reprogrammed to burn rather than store, they stop being passive energy warehouses and become active metabolic engines. The fat is not merely being removed, it is being converted into a calorie-burning organ. The fourth mechanism involves fat-regulating hormones. In obesity, bloated white fat cells overproduce leptin, which eventually triggers leptin resistance in the hypothalamus, destroying the brain's ability to register fullness. Simultaneously, adiponectin, the fat-derived hormone that enhances insulin sensitivity and promotes fatty acid oxidation, drops toward its lowest levels. A systematic review and meta-analysis, published in the British Journal of Nutrition, found that green tea extract supplementation significantly increased circulating adiponectin levels. Multiple studies have independently documented that green tea consumption decreases leptin levels and improves leptin sensitivity. This means EGCG is not just burning fat at the cellular level, but actively dismantling the hormonal feedback loops that perpetuate obesity in the first place. The fifth mechanism is gut microbiome remodeling. EGCG directly supports the growth of Akkermansia mucinophila, the mucus layer bacterium that strengthens the intestinal barrier and reduces metabolic inflammation. A study published in Springer Nature found that EGCG administration significantly increased Akkermansia abundance in gut microbiota, and that this shift was accompanied by increased butyrate production and reduced body fat. When intestinal permeability decreases, circulating lipopolysaccharide endotoxin levels fall, systemic low-grade inflammation is reduced, and insulin resistance improves, all of which translate into a quieter fat storage signaling environment throughout the body. The clinical numbers support this convergence of mechanisms. In a meta-analysis of overweight adults, the green tea extract group showed 49% greater reduction in body fat percentage compared to placebo. A broader systematic review found green tea extract supplementation significantly reduced body mass by a weighted mean of 0.64 kg. When EGCG at 300 mg was combined with a small dose of caffeine at 200 mg and consumed in a fasted state, fat oxidation at rest and in the postprandial period increased to statistically significant levels. Across clinical data, resting metabolic rate rises by approximately 4 to 5%, and fat oxidation rates increase by 10 to 17%, with regular green tea catechin intake. Practically, 5 principles maximize the effect. First, drink within 30 minutes of waking, before any food, to catch the morning cortisol awakening response and sympathetic nervous system activation window. Second, brew at 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. Boiling water oxidizes catechins and reduces their bioactivity. A properly brewed cup steeped for 2 to 3 minutes at this temperature contains approximately 100 to 200 milligrams of EGCG. Third, maintain a minimum 30-minute gap before your first meal to preserve the fasted absorption advantage. Fourth, add a few drops of lemon juice. Vitamin C creates an acidic intestinal environment that protects EGCG from oxidative degradation, and research shows catechin stability increases up to 13-fold with lemon. Fifth, target 3 to 4 cups distributed across the day morning, fasted, before lunch, and in the early afternoon, for a total daily catechin intake of 300 to 500 milligrams. Safety boundaries matter here. EGCG on an empty stomach can irritate the gastric mucosa in people with gastritis, acid reflux, or peptic ulcers. Those individuals should consume green tea after meals or consult a physician. People with caffeine sensitivity should limit intake to 2 cups per day. Pregnant and breastfeeding women should keep total daily caffeine below 200 milligrams. Anyone on anticoagulants or blood thinning medications should consult their doctor, as EGCG can influence drug absorption. High-dose EGCG supplementation above 800 milligrams per day has been associated with hepatotoxicity risk in case reports. So staying within the equivalent of 4 to 5 cups of brewed green tea daily is the safe boundary. The morning fast is the most powerful metabolic window your body generates every single day. Step inside that window with a cup of green tea, and you are deploying a molecule that simultaneously blocks COMT to prolong norepinephrine, activates AMPK to accelerate fat burning, biogenetically expands your mitochondria, converts white fat into beige fat, elevates adiponectin, reduces leptin resistance, and feeds akkermansia to quiet systemic inflammation. From the fat cell's perspective, this is a total siege. Its energy supply is cut off. Its machinery is forced into reverse, and its expansion signals are silenced. The next time someone asks why a single cup of green tea on an empty stomach can make fat cells starve, you will know exactly where to begin.